founder of the Wheaton League of Women Voters. So what's the big deal with League of Women Voters, you ask? Well, when Mrs. Hamilton moved to Wheaton, there was no League of Women Voters here, so she joined the Kleina. And Judy, our president, will tell you more about that later.
Over the last several years, there's been a lot of discussion about the contributions of Marget Hamilton to the City of Wheaton. And we just have to look over at the library. That was part of the work she did when she was on the City Council. You can point to the City Hall building that work in was part of her work when she was on the City Council. The ferry path we've heard about, the origins of that was when she was on the and the discussion about fair housing going back to 1967, that was another contribution that she was about when she was on the council. And the point I would make is, you go back to, she started on the council in 1959. It was then a commission at that time. And she was involved until 1971. And just think of the change that happened over that period, not only in Wheaton, but in the country. It's really from 1960 to 1990 that you saw a significant build out of Wheaton. And one of the significant things that she was involved in and was a very strong advocate for was the current form of government in Wheaton, the city manager council model. And that's huge, because if you think about the way they were doing things back then, without professional management, kind of on an arbitrary ad-lib basis, things are a lot better because of that. So the one thought I just want to leave with you is, the work that she did in Wheaton set us in the right direction. And the things she did are things we've all built upon over the last 50 years. So I'm very happy to be here. We have some representatives from the council. We have a quorum. So we have Erica Bray Parker, we have Scott Weller, we have Suzanne Fitt. But anyway, I just think the key point as we think about Margie is just to think of the various things she did and really how she set us in the right direction, and that's kind of carried through today. So thank you very much.
And Margie was already on the city council, and of course the very next year she became mayor. I didn't really get to know her well until she was the leader of the Adult Learning Center at the College of DuPage. But you didn't have to know Margie very long before you realized that she had a very strong sense of right and wrong. And as a progressive in DuPage County, it was not easy to be a progressive often. But you've just heard a lot of the ways that she expressed her sense of right and wrong. But I think really that a lot of us know the difference between right and wrong. But what set Margie apart was that she had the energy and the courage and the will to do something about it.
And honored guests and friends, welcome and thank you for coming to the dedication. We really do appreciate it. Today we're honoring, as you already know, Marget Hamilton, the first female mayor of Wheaton, and also the founder and first president of the League of Women Voters of Wheaton. Marget, and as you already know, some people called her Margie, was active in the Wheaton League before becoming the first woman elected to the Wheaton City Council in 1959. And then in 1969, she won a special election to become Wheaton's first female mayor to replace a mayor who had moved out of town. The city of Wheaton is honoring Marget with this, I'll do a banner, Autumn Splendor Horse Chestnut tree, and a plaque that reads, well, I'm sorry, you have to wait until it's unveiled. So Marget met her husband Luther at the University of Chicago. He was a doctoral student and she was a volunteer usher. They married and settled outside of Barrington, and they had 4 sons, Tom, Dick, Jim, and Fritz. During World War II, Barrington officials had banned Japanese American children from their public school. She and her husband, or actually, Marget told the Tribune in 2015 that she just became infuriated at that because some of these children were the same age as some of her kids, and they were darling children, she said. So she protested, and much to her amazement, she won. Go, Margie. Because of her action, the Barrington officials let the children back into the swimming pool. That is the incident that started her interest in politics. So Marget and her husband moved to Wheaton in 1950. She was disappointed to find out that there was no League of Women Voters of Wheaton. So, as Susan said, she and her mother-in-law joined the Kleina. And so she was asked to take the presidency of the Kleina League, and she said, if I was going to work that hard, she'd start a League of the Wheaton. So she became our beloved chapter president in 1955. Both the League and Marget pushed for Wheaton to change its form of government, as Mayor C said, to a council manager form. And in part due to Hamilton's advocacy, the city adopted that form of government in 1962. As he mentioned too, she pushed for the Fair Housing Ordinance, which the council enacted in 1967, barring discrimination in home purchases. So Wheaton was the first community in Illinois to approve such a law. She said at the time, if you owned a place in the Chicago area, you were handed a deed that read that this property cannot be sold to Jews or people of color. She said, and her husband both said that if they were ever in a position to change that, that's the first thing they'd do. So some of her other accomplishments include she worked to preserve the old Chicago, Aurora, and Elgin Railroad right-of-way for an alternative use, which was the freight path. Marget oversaw the council's approval of the redevelopment of the old Chicago, Aurora, and Elgin rail yard into the Wheaton City apartment complex, and then she also pushed for the new library to be built, and that was in 1964. She did choose not to go for re-election for mayor in 1971, so she could spend more time with her husband, who had retired, and they wanted to travel. So she said, I think it's good that this job is filled by someone with fresh ideas every so often. Without change, we can all stagnate. So shortly after she left the office, Hamilton formed and paid the county's first chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union and served as the chapter's first chairwoman. Then she had several jobs at college age. She was assistant to the associate dean and then spent 22 years as director of the college's Elton Institute. And she retired at the age of 93 in 2008. The city of Wheaton proclaimed June 27, 2015, which was her 100th birthday, to be Marget Hamilton Day. 3 streets in Wheaton are named after her: Hamilton Court, Hamilton Drive, and Hamilton Lane. She did live to be 104 years old and died of natural causes in November 2019. So I want to thank Marget for starting our Wheaton chapter of the League of Women Voters, and I also Albert for coordinating all this, for coming up with